Hey guys, welcome to Atita Fitness. So it's a new day. I'm very excited to introduce something special to you guys today. So I am going to do my brain scan. It's called Neurotherapy feedback. So I'm going to study my brain and I'm going to interview the owner of this Neurotherapy feedback center so that we can get to learn so much about neurotherapy feedback. So again, I wanna state that I don't have any mental health issues, I don't have any addiction, but it's good to be aware of like what's happening in our body. I focus more on the fitness side, on the physical fitness, but physical fitness and general wellness is one of the best way to go. So guys, keep it here please. If you're watching this video for the first time, go ahead and subscribe, become a member of Atita Fitness, Atita Fit Farm. So guys, let's go.
Hi.
Hello.
Welcome, Atita. Thanks for coming in today.
Thank you.
I'm Suzanne Mark. Atita and I know each other from Superior.
Yeah. I'm actually a personal trainer.
He is my personal trainer, and he's amazing. He's helped me actually have muscle tone, which is amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, he's been really helpful in my journey, my healing journey. So what I'm doing today is I'm sharing some of the technologies I use, and we're talking in particular now about something called IASIS microcurrent neurofeedback. And that's a type of neurofeedback that uses microcurrent, which is around a trillionth of a watt. So most people can't feel it, but we put the leads on your head, and we move them across the head, and they create a very small pulse of microcurrent into your head. And when that happens, it shows your brain what your brain's doing. And when your brain perceives what it's doing in terms of its dysfunctional patterns, it goes, oh, I don't want to do that, I want to do this. And it clears up its own dysfunctional patterns.
Okay.
It isn't telling your brain what to do, it's just showing your brain what you're doing, what it's doing. And it's called transcranial electric stimulation. That's another word for it. And it's really good for all kinds of things like life stuckness, head trauma. People are stuck in a lot of different ways. They have old trauma, they have old emotional things which have happened to them. They have old emotional traumas and things that have happened to them, and they get stuck and they feel like they just can't move forward. So recently I had a gentleman who was in his 50s, and he had really, really old trauma from when he was 18. He was part of a chopper accident in Alaska. And it was extremely traumatizing, and he had to handle it. He was front and center in terms of making sure that the people who were involved in the accident were lifted out and their lives were saved. And he had still been dealing with that trauma. So what we did was we did a combination of neurofeedback, and we did something called brain spotting. And brain spotting is a therapeutic technique that helps your brain clear trauma through your hindbrain, which is your mammalian brain and your reptilian brain. Okay. And your reptilian brain and mammalian brains work very quickly. They're your fight-flight mechanism. Yeah. And you can actually use that fight-flight mechanism to heal trauma quickly below the conscious level. So you don't really even need to talk about it. Once we set it up, and you're looking at a particular spot in your visual field on the x-axis or the y-axis, it's somewhere in there, you're going to find it. You end up clearing trauma really, really quickly. And it's nothing that I'm doing. It's just, in fact, I say very little during the therapy. It's just I'm holding space for your trauma to clear, and it clears. So it's pretty amazing. And I love stuff like that. I use the word amazing a lot because I'm kind of an over speaker. I tend to say things kind of
need all the
superlative. I'm very superlative.
So, who do you recommend that's supposed to do this, the neurotherapy scan? I mean, feedback.
Yeah, well, the neurofeedback is really good for anyone who's struggling with different things that could be brain based. Any age can work. I've given it to very little children. I've given it to teenagers. I've given it to anyone. The highest age I've worked on was 88. 88, and he was a Korean War veteran. Yeah. And he did very well with it. He had very old trauma. Yeah. You know, it's so funny. I have a card here. I have my card here somewhere. Yeah. But microcurrent neurofeedback is good for Parkinson's, MS. I mean, it can be very good for like serious things. But most of the people that I see are stuck in their lives in some way. Okay. Like they're just not feeling like their performance is where they want it to be. Yeah. And maybe they have ADD or ADHD. Maybe they're feeling like they have sleep issues or repetitive headaches or
low energy.
Yes. And they're not resilient. You know, it's really a question of sustainability and being able to sustain your changes over time once you've completed the treatment. But sorry, what I really wanted to say is that it's really a question of resiliency, because a lot of people lose their resiliency because the world throws a lot of stuff at us. Yeah. And what this allows your body mind to do is sort of self-correct. Okay. I've also used it on people who have spastic limbs from a stroke. Yeah. And their limbs have completely opened up and they actually...
How many sessions does it take?
That takes a lot of sessions. Okay. But generally for something that is just life stuckness, we do from 12 to 24 sessions. Most people, I graduate them in around 12 sessions. Maybe they need a few more. Yeah. But generally most people, they graduate pretty quickly. Okay. Old school neurofeedback, because there's a lot of different types of neurofeedback out there. Yeah. They can take as long as 40 to 50 to 60 sessions.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. And we do it twice a week.
So, like me, I don't have any of like conditions that you talked about, but just in case if we find that there are some old traumas, how do you get to know that like I have trauma? Is it going to show the picture of my brain?
This is not a scanning technology. When I hook you up, we'll see an EEG. It has the EEG on the screen on your right side and your left side. Yeah. But generally, it's anecdotal. You know, you would tell me, well, I was in a car accident when I was 17, or I fell out of a tree picking mangoes in Kenya. Yeah. Or something like that.
I have been like in a few accidents. Yeah. Actually, there's something that I've not shared before. I haven't told you even. There's a time that I was kidnapped in Nairobi. How I got this car.
I was wondering. Yeah. Yeah.
So maybe I have like a trauma from that because I keep thinking about it, and I have like pictures on my email which I saved, like, you know, these pictures are going to remind me from like that situation where like I almost lost my life.
I guarantee you have a trauma. I guarantee it. Yeah, it's like this is PTSD. PTS is a real thing, and it can happen with very simple, small things. But what it creates is this air of hypervigilance, you know, where you're kind of looking behind you, you're kind of feeling like you're on guard.
Actually,
do you have any of that?
That's one thing that I realized after going through that incident, and then later I started being hypervigilant, the way you're saying. When I was taking like the public means of transport in Nairobi, I started being like hypervigilant. I don't know, something that I never had before.
Yeah, I had a home robbery in Ashland, and after that, I mean, you just feel so violated.
Yes.
Luckily, I had a tool called microcurrent neurofeedback to deal with that, and I was able to get treated by myself and by a colleague.
Oh, wow.
But, you know, things tend to layer. So I had a car accident with an airbag in the face. It was a pretty serious concussion. I T-boned a car that pulled directly in front of me.
Oh, wow.
I had the right of way. Sorry, I've got to say that. And it was, then I had a stroke after that accident because it had affected my brain in such a way that it was less resilient and it was more vulnerable to having a stroke.
I see.
And so I had a stroke-like event in which I lost my memory. So these things tend to stack, you know,
Yeah.
You'll have one and then you'll get another. And have you ever heard anyone saying, I've had 5 car accidents
Yes.
and none of them were my fault?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I have this theory. I just feel that our energetic system is always communicating with the world,
The surrounding,
you know,
yeah.
the surroundings.
Yeah.
I could call it the all that is. I don't mean to seem, but we're always kind of polling for some sort of, we're always having a dialogue with our surroundings.
Oh.
And if you have a trauma,
Yeah.
you have leaks in this system, your energetic system, and you tend to be polling like a router for healing because your body mind knows it needs to heal itself.
Yeah.
And your body mind is extremely intelligent and it knows what it needs. So these situations kind of happen in serial ways where you keep having the same thing again and again until you heal that original trauma. And as we say in the brain spotting community, all traumas lead back to the original trauma. And so what my husband, he's a clinical psychologist, Daniel Sternberg,
Yeah.
and I really like doing with the modalities that we use is we like to get down to the original stuff, because once you heal that, it's just like pulling a plug out of a drain.
Yeah.
And people just start feeling better really quickly.
Wow.
And it's
that's
great
amazing.
to see people come back to life and enjoying life again. Not
That's-
looking behind their shoulders or under their chair.
Have you had someone come and they, then realize they have like so much trauma than they even thought about themselves? Like maybe someone didn't expect to be having anything and then they realize that they have so much to deal with than
Yeah,
they
absolutely.
expected.
Yeah, most people have a concept of what it was, you know, what that seminal moment was
Yeah.
when they had a particular event, but oftentimes that will uncover something earlier, like they had some conception to birth. There's even ways to clear conception to birth trauma with brain spotting. What I like about the neurofeedback is that it can work on old trauma that, you know, if you have trauma, when you have a verbal apparatus developed to talk about that trauma, it's great because you can talk about it. Well, this happened. You can point back to a certain time. But what's really tricky is pre-verbal trauma.
Okay.
That things that happened to you before you could really speak about it or conceive of it.
Yeah.
Through your verbal apparatus, yet you know that you have some attachment trauma or something that you can't really fix.
I'm sure a lot of people are aware about that.
Oh yeah, and
Yeah.
you can't really fix it. I had one guy that I worked with many years ago, and he was left on the steps of an orphanage, and he just had problems with women because he kept having this reboot of being abandoned by his mother.
Yeah.
And I was doing emotional releasing at that time, which is an extremely beneficial tool that I teach my clients as well.
Yeah.
But I didn't have the brain-based technologies that I have now.
Okay.
So I couldn't help him as much, but I pray that he found his way because he was a really neat guy.
Oh wow. Tell us about, is it anyone who can afford this? Like how?
It's pretty affordable.
Okay.
My colleagues charge a lot more than I do
Yeah.
for this therapy, and I stack therapies, so I try to give really high value in my therapies.
Yeah.
So basically it costs less than the price of a massage.
Oh, I
And
see.
the
Okay.
discounted rate is around $100
Yeah.
per session,
Mm.
and that's if you purchase a packet of 12.
Okay.
And so I keep thinking about raising my rate, frankly, but I want to make this available
Yeah.
to as many people as possible, and
Yeah.
it's kind of what the market will bear.
Mhm.
And I do work with a nonprofit in town to provide this to people
wow,
who are.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I like working with the formerly incarcerated. I work with some
Yeah.
formerly incarcerated
That's
people.
really cool.
They're amazing people.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how can people before we talk maybe how people will find you maybe online or book like appointments and all that?
Yeah.
Are there any side effects of like doing this? Because I know like anything that has good sides and all that, maybe are there any side effects?
Yeah, there are sometimes people have a little bit of a reaction to it. The common reactions, which aren't bad because they basically show that your brain is getting off of its set point, are tired, more wired than usual, spacey, or the exacerbation of some symptoms. So let's say you have I don't know, a headache or something. You could get a briefly worse headache. And most of those side effects go away within 20 minutes to an hour.
Okay.
They rarely last more than 24 hours.
I see.
And we're very careful with this because it really is a profound technology.
Yeah.
And I'm very careful with it. And we have ways to manage what we call sensitivity.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh wow. So tell us how people can reach out to you.
My website is ashlandneuro.com. And again, my name is Suzanne Mark, and my phone number is 541-631-8757. And you can just call me, and I'll have a phone consultation with you, and then we can set up a time for you to come in and have your first session. And it's really no pressure. It's just a very effective way. We get to know each other well during the sessions.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
That's amazing. How long does it take to?
The first session is usually an hour and 15, an hour and a half, because we're doing a pretty extensive intake to see what your nervous system is doing.
Yeah.
And kind of get an idea of what your issues are and what you would like to change, what your goals are. And then we give you your first set of neurofeedback, your first dose of neurofeedback. And that, the first time usually takes about 15 minutes. It's like the least amount of it because we gradually ramp you up.
Yeah.
To the right amount for you. This is a less is more approach. It's not a, give me more approach. It doesn't work that way. Because it's microcurrent, you only need the right amount. You don't need too much.
Okay.
And we do 2 sessions a week because what happens is that your nervous system, you come in, your nervous system is functioning at a lower, we call it a subpar level, and then you introduce the microcurrent and it regulates, and then you introduce it again a few days later, and then you continue that process of reintroducing it, and we call that place that it leads you to enduring sustainability.
Okay.
And you're sustaining your changes over time. And so I wave you off into the sunset, and we're friends now.
Yeah.
Some people come in for tune-ups. I do rarely have calls for tune-ups, but some people come in. I've treated some people, the longest I've ever treated anyone is 40 to 50 sessions, extremely rare.
Yeah.
But that person had a lot of issues. Generally, people get all they're going to get out of it within 12 to 24 sessions.
Oh wow.
It's not very long. It doesn't last very long. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm looking forward to know how my feedback is going to look like.
Yeah, we're gonna try it. We're gonna try it on you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you guys for watching the video.
Thanks for coming in.
Yeah.
So we're here with Atita. He's going to have his first session of neurofeedback.
I'm so excited.
And he's probably going to have to fast forward this because
Yes.
it takes a minute to prepare the site pairs and stuff. And so we just clean the skin and get any skin oils or lotions or anything that are on the skin. You know, second time person comes without any lotion. First time, you know, it takes a minute to get on track here. This is his very first. So
Time.
we have 5 sites. One's on the back of the neck, 2 in front of the ears, and that can help with sleep. It can help with vagus nerve tone of emotions.
Oh, okay.
It's a chart of emotions. You can see it as a scale. It goes from very low energy shame to high energy peace. And it is pretty cool. It
Wow.
really helps people. A lot of people get stuck on shame
Okay.
because shame is very low energy. Shame's like a 20.
Yeah.
And then it goes guilt, which is a little higher energy, but still very low.
Uh-huh.
Apathy. People get kind of stuck in apathy where they can't get off the couch.
Mm-hmm.
They just feel stuck. They don't
Yeah.
know why.
Mm-hmm. I've seen all this.
Well, it's good. It's healthy to have all of those emotional frequencies because if you didn't, like I've met people. I have a very good friend who came to one of my classes years ago, and he never felt grief, and he was shocked. But he had shut it down because of something that happened that was very, very difficult. And he was looking at the chart as we were going through it, and he couldn't believe it. He was looking at it and I said, "What's going on?" He said, "I don't feel this." And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Ever." And I thought, uh-oh, but I didn't say anything.
Yeah.
But he was able to let that grief that he had suppressed go. And what happened was he ended up completely letting go of a pretty intense addiction in that weekend that I was teaching that seminar. It was in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
So you want to have a flow in your emotions. You don't want to get stuck. And then after grief, we got fear, which is higher energy. That's fight. That's your fight flight. That's what's going to get you out of a bad situation. And then we have lust or wanting. It can be for people, places, things, money, situations, you know. And that can feel kind of pleasurable, you know, when you're really trying to work towards a goal and you're driven to find something, do something, be something. But we can get stuck in that one too because it's very pleasurable. We keep lusting after things. I've got to get that new leather couch, and then you get the couch and you're like, I got to have the carpet to go with it, and I really need the Beamer. I really need the Beamer to go with that couch.
I feel like you're touching some points in my life. It's like you're stepping in my life.
Yeah, it's a sticky wicket, you know, more, and more. So with all of these limiting emotions, there's a sense of never enough.
Okay.
And then moving up to anger. Anger is the hanger. When a lot of people, when they get to anger, they can get really stuck because we're socialized not to be angry. We have to be nice, you know. And so people can get up to anger, and instead of feeling it and moving through it, they'll push it back down.
Yeah.
A lot of women, not to be sexist, but a lot of women are socialized not to be angry still, which is crazy. It's changing. And then they'll push it down to grief or apathy or something else. And then moving up from anger, you move into pride.
Yeah.
And I'm not really talking about the positive side of pride. I'm talking more about the I'm so great, look at me, you know, they're all a bunch of idiots kind of pride.
Okay.
And then the next emotions are very expansive. Courage, that's at about a 250 on a the scale is 0 to 1,000. Well, 0, you're dead, you're off the chart.
Yeah.
But shame's at a 20, and you move up to courage. That's at about a 250. That doesn't seem very high, but you've got to think how many people on the planet have a sense of I can.
Yes.
This courageous I can sense.
Uh-huh.
A lot of people don't have that very often because they're so focused on survival. And they're really, there's a lot of challenges. They have a lot of trauma because their country, like Bangladesh, floods every year, and they never get over it or something. It's like it keeps happening. Trauma keeps happening cyclically in some cultures.
Yeah.
So, and then moving up above courage is acceptance, where you just everything is as it is, and it's okay. And then moving up after that is peace.
Yes.
And then moving up, you go into like the state of pure being. And if you look at the state of pure being, it doesn't have any words to describe it because the mind is very quiet and you don't need to do anything or to be anything. You're just one with everybody. And I've had those experiences in life, and even just by remembering them in that high peace state, I can have it again.
Yeah.
Like one time I was going back to Europe from a trip I had taken back to the States. I was living in Italy at the time. And I had this expansive experience that made me feel like I was one with everything.
Yeah.
And then I got on this jumbo jet to go back to Italy, and I felt one with everyone on the plane. It was an amazing experience.
Oh, wow.
Drug-free.
Yeah.
Drug-free, I felt like I was just one with everyone. And I still remember the people that were sitting around me on that trip. I can still remember some of the conversations that I had.
Yeah.
And I was in my 20s then. All right, so we did pretty good here. We got green lines.
Yes.
That one's giving us a little trouble.
Oh, wow, it's good to know about this.
Yeah, it's really good because it shows you that you can change your, you can totally change
Your emotions.
your emotional
Yeah.
network, and you'll start to feel a lot better. You can let go. And so the way that I teach that is how to let go.
Yeah.
Is that you basically notice what you're feeling.
Okay.
You just notice what you're feeling, and you notice where you're feeling it in your body. And so think about something that disturbed you over the last 24 hours to a week.
Yeah.
Something that knocked you off your game a little bit.
Yeah, a few things.
Okay?
Yeah.
Good. And so as you think about that, and the wonderful thing about this is you don't have to tell me the story. Because the story, I hate to say it, rarely heals us. Yeah, we need to tell our story. It's important. But there comes a point where telling the story just keeps us looping in the situation.
Yeah.
So just for now, could you welcome whatever you're feeling about it? And just let yourself have it.
Okay.
Good. And even more than that, could you just welcome whatever you're feeling? Good. And if you had to put it on the chart, what's the feeling?
Overwhelming.
What'd you say? Overwhelming.
Yeah. Yeah.
So could you allow yourself to feel overwhelmed as much as you do? And just let yourself feel it as much as you do.
Yeah.
Good, and that's a feeling. So just for now, what I'm going to ask you is, could you let it go? Just like dropping a rock or something, or letting a balloon fly free. Could you just let it go?
Yes.
Good. When?
Now.
Good, yeah, and as you just make that decision, your body kind of releases you, the emotion kind of lets you go and you let it go.
Yeah.
You made a new decision about it just to let it go. Good, and even more. Could you let go of even more of it? just make the decisions, kind of like opening yourself up and just letting it go. And as you do that, what do you notice?
Feel peaceful.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we did 2 releases and you feel peaceful. So every limiting feeling is a doorway to a higher feeling. If you notice it, let yourself feel it, allow it, embrace it, whatever that is. Let yourself feel it for a moment and then make a decision. Could I let this go?
Yes.
Good.
Yeah.
And you're very attuned to yourself, so that's good. I mean, some people, it's a little bit of a challenge. They're just like a head walking around stuck to a body and they don't really feel much below their neck. But we work with that and we get people into their feelings so they can become liberated by them. Good job. All right. Now you're going to have your very first dose of neurofeedback.
Oh, wow.
All right. It's already kind of working because it's showing us it's giving an EEG. It's reading your body.
Yeah.
It's reading, or I wouldn't have those green lines.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to set it on a setting called Genesis, which is the first one.
Yeah.
And I use that on most people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to seem like much ado about nothing, but I'm going to give you
Oh, wow.
about 40 seconds of neurofeedback today. Really very little, just a tiny dose of neurofeedback. Most people I only give 20.
20.
Yeah.
Okay. 20 seconds?
Yeah, 20 seconds of neurofeedback. And you can see your EEG. It's there. It's good. It's normal. You're all hooked up. If you blink your eyes, those kerchunks, those are because of your eye, your frontalis.
I see. Okay.
Your frontalis muscle is being stimulated. So that's all that is, and that doesn't affect the neurofeedback. So I'm going to click now. We're going to give you your first 20 seconds of neurofeedback.
Oh, wow.
Can you feel it?
Yes.
You're so sensitive.
I can feel like there's something happening in my body.
Yeah. Yeah. You're amazing. Most people cannot feel it. So I'm just going to do one more click.
Yeah.
This is just a good first session.
Why do I feel it even like on my arms?
Yeah, because it's microcurrent and it's actually flowing through your body.
Even
However,
my legs.
Yeah, most people do not have that experience. It's just that you're sensitive and you're attuned. You're very attuned. So that is enough for this first session. And then I just turn the machine off.
Mm-hmm.
And did it shift? Can you feel that it's not there now?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
It's not working because I was feeling like there's something which is kind of stimulating like there's some sensitivity going on my legs, my arms.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Now it's not there.
I've never heard anyone say that before. That's amazing. And that's just because